Hey, welcome to Dog Backwards. Today we're going to talk about something a little fun, something that I find interesting. So have you ever gone to the grocery store and the gas station, and when you're checking out, you got your soda, your candy bar, and the total is $6.66. How does that make you feel? Does it kind of weird you out a little bit? And you're like, there's been times I've tempted to hey, just throw some gum on there or maybe a car wash just to change. So I don't feel superstitious or bad about having the number 666. Like, is it a bad luck omen? Like walking under a ladder or breaking a mirror? Or is there something actually to it? Have you ever seen this video of the Monster Energy drink girl? Because she seems to have it figured out. Check this out.
Look at your M closely. There's a gap right here in the letter M. It's never connected. So you go into Hebrew. The letter Vav is also the number 6. Short top, long tail. Short top, long tail. You could have here in Hebrew 666 on the can. But my interest is the word monster. What do you see in the O? There's a cross.
Okay.
What has Christ got to do with an energy drink, let alone the name Monster? So I thought, well, maybe this is a Christian company then. BFC at the bottom of the can. Do you know what that stands for? That's the F word. Big can. In fact, they write it on the side of the can, so I know that's the F word.
Okay.
Now, do you know what a MILF is?
Yes.
That's on the box. MILFs dig it, and you will too. This is not a Christian company at all. So why would they have put a cross on the can? Here is the message. Antichrist. 666 in Hebrew. And then the Bible talks about the beast in Revelation. And look at Monster's ad. This is their statement. You see these M's everywhere. Hats, t-shirts, bumper stickers. Is there another agenda here? If God can use people and product, so can Satan. And look at it this way. Even if the M was not the issue, you cannot deny that that is a cross. And what is witchcraft? When the cross goes upside down, bottoms up, and the devil laughs.
Now, I'll admit her presentation is on point. Like, she does a good job, but I'm not buying what she's selling. So what then does 66 mean? Where does it come from? Is it relevant to us today? Let's answer those questions. 666 comes from the book of Revelation, chapter 13. And it's written to people who would actually understand it. Sometimes when we read the Bible, we have what's called chronological snobbery. We think this didn't mean anything to anybody for the last 2,000 years, but it's written specifically to my generation. That's why people will say, oh, 666, mark of the beast, the Antichrist. It's always somebody who's alive right now, right? For generations, people have said this is the end times and here's the Antichrist, right? I've heard in my lifetime, it's been every president has been the Antichrist. Oprah Winfrey, she was the Antichrist for a long time, according to a lot of people. My personal favorite and the one that I decided all on my own was Celine Dion. No particular reason. Just thought it was hilarious that Celine Dion is the Antichrist. Wouldn't that catch you off guard, right? What is it then? Let me tell you something, that the people who received what John wrote, his revelation, it actually meant something to them. The people who received that book, it was relevant to them. God was speaking to them. Now, it was written to them, but it was also written for us. So it's helpful to us in many ways, but sometimes just looking back in hindsight, we see how God worked, and that's helpful to understand his faithfulness. So in Revelation chapter 13, he is saying that there is a man, so we know it's a human being, that number is 666, and the listener needs to pay attention and understand the meaning behind this. Now, is 666 just so ambiguous that it could literally be anybody? Or what a lot of people don't understand is that Hebrew people, they had a thing called gematria. It was very common. They used it all the time, where they would associate numbers with the letters in the Hebrew alphabet. In other languages, Greek did this a lot too. Like, so if you go to Pompeii, there was an inscription found. It says, the one that I love is 414. And this was their way of trying to signal and code without being obvious about the person they love. Well, this is what 666 is. It's gematria. And there happened to be somebody that was living at the time that posed a real threat to the nation of Israel. And it was Nero Caesar. If you take his name, according to the Hebrew alphabet, it comes up 666. So this is God warning his people that there is somebody they need to be a watch out for because he is going to kill a lot of his people. So it was a major catastrophic event. And this is what John is warning the people about in Revelation chapter 13. How do we know this for sure? Is this just another guess? Because there's lots of things that you can make of 666. Yes, we can know this, I think, for certain, because there are Latin inscriptions of Revelation, and instead of 666, it has 616. And that's because the Latin speakers who received this, it was spelled differently. What they called Nero Caesar was different than what the Hebrew people called. And so in the Latin, it's the way they would call his name, and it adds up to 616. So we have it in two different languages talking about the same person. And I don't think that's coincidental. So what about the mark of the beast? Is that a implant in your hand or forehead, or a barcode tattooed on you? You know, when barcodes came out, lots of people thought that was the mark of the beast. And now I see people putting chips in their hands so that they can pay as they check out. And people say, that's the mark of the beast. Or Elon Musk, Neuralink, people are like, that's the mark of the beast. Look, I'm not against any of that stuff. Neuralink sounds pretty interesting, that if I could remember all the things I choose to remember. I've read a lot of books and I've forgotten 90% of what I've read. I would love to be able to retain that information. But is that the mark of the beast? Again, the people who received this actually knew what John was talking about. So the word that is used for mark has a very significant meaning. And it has to do with either an imprint on a piece of paper or on a piece of wax of Caesar giving his approval. In order to be able to buy, sell, and trade during this time, there would be an imprint either on a piece of paper, your documentation that you would carry around with you, or on a piece of wax that showed that you had paid homage to Caesar as being Lord and God. Well, of course, Christians denied this. They rejected any idea that they should be forced to carry around something that had that insignia. You know, our money has "In God We Trust" on it, but their money would have Caesar is Lord. And so in order to have your paperwork have any validity, you had to have Caesar is Lord stamped somewhere on there. That is the mark of the beast. So does 666 still have any meaning for us today? No, not really. I think it's equivalent with somebody who might have named their kid Adolf. Right? Like really, the things associated with that name are pretty egregious. So why would you name your kid Adolf? Right? It's nothing wrong with the name. It's just a name. There's nothing wrong with it. And the same thing with 666. There's nothing wrong with it. If your kid gets a random number assigned to him for the SATs, and the last three digits of that, or the last three of his license plate or driver's license is 666, does not mean your kid is cursed. Doesn't mean anything. It's not in the name and it's not in the numbers. I hope that helps. Be less superstitious. Be more biblical. Talk to you later.